things. And now the Armageddon game starting between Magnus Carlsen and Wei Yi. I'm happy to continue explaining these statistics, but I can imagine that our viewers want to see this action.
And they want to see whether the 3000 rating performance will show on the board. Wei Yi has the white pieces. He has more time. He starts with 10 minutes, but black has draw odds and 7 minutes starting time. So more time for white, but draw odds for black. Here in the studio, we predicted that Magnus wins. There's 3 votes for Magnus. I voted for Wei Yi. So let's see. Let's see who's gonna be right. Christian.
Well, it's too early to tell right now, Anna, but we did see somewhat of a surprise coming from white from Wei Yi. Did not start with knight to f3, which we've seen in so many games, but he started with bishop to c4. Second move, bishop to c4, getting the bishop out first. Now, what this incentivized black to do was to go c6 to try to look at ideas of d5 and get the center like that, and that's exactly where we stand right now. We see this position with the pawn on c6 and d6 ready to go to d5 potentially, the pawn on c3 and the pawn on d3 ready to counter that. So this is what I'm seeing right now. It's still too early to tell who got the advantage out of the opening. I predict this is going to be somewhat of a slow game, and it does look like a Choco Piano.
Slow game as in the opening and the strategy, but not slow in terms of the time control, because the players only have 9.5 minutes, that's what's left for Wei Yi, and 6 minutes for Magnus Carlsen. There is no increment until the players reach move 40, so there's gonna be a good bit of time scramble and time pressure to look forward to.
6 minutes and counting, and it's counting fast.
Yeah.
Magnus has not played yet. This is a bit troubling because we're still very early in the game and the position is not super complex. So it surprises me that Magnus is already spending a lot of time on his decisions. Knight to f8, saying, you know what, I don't want to castle first, I want to get this knight first, either g6 or e6, and only after I will put my king to safety on g8.
Interesting choice, and that means he's saying, hey, my king is okay in the middle of the board because the position is very closed. There are no open files, there are no ways to get to the black king. I'm really curious what Wei Yi will play and whether our bar jumping ahead and showing that white's position is getting better. It's criticizing this knight move, it's saying it's slow, Christian.
Yes, what I have to do is, as I just highlighted on the board, get the pressure going on f7. This is the weak spot in your position, and what Magnus is trying to do is cover it up with either bishop to e6 or knight to e6. The problem is after queen to b3, and you're seeing this huge battery looking at that pawn on f7, you need to cover up. You cannot cover up with the he wants to exchange the queens. Magnus wants to exchange the queens. That's why Wei shies away from that diagonal. He says, you know what, once you play the move knight to e6, I don't want to keep the queen here so that you can exchange it.
And he's threatening Magnus's passed pawn, so Magnus should do something about that. Or actually, does he have to do something?
Whoa.
What? Just when we said that Magnus is okay, he's blundering his knight and he's laughing. He's laughing. You see the reaction on Magnus's face. He's now taking with the rook. The white pawn. What is going on?
Oh my goodness, Magnus just not sacrificed, blundered a piece in one move. And right now, it's
Wei Yi
probably
is
time to resign.
sacrificing his queen for 2 rooks of black, and he has 2 rooks and the bishop to fight against the sole black queen. Magnus Carlsen, with the laugh when he blundered, he couldn't believe it.
I think Magnus is just going to resign very soon. There's not much to play for. All I have to do is coordinate my rooks on the 7th rank, get this bishop on c4 to attack the pawn on f7. This is looking like game over. What Magnus hopes for is a perpetual check, but I just simply have too many pieces to defend everything around my king.
They're both looking up the screen because they do have screens above them where they can see how many moves they have played. From move 40, they get increment every time they make a move. There's a 1 second increment after completing move 40. Goodness me, what a blunder that was!
Absolutely, he's looking at getting the bishop on c4 and capturing that pawn on f7. That's everything he wants in this position. If he manages to get there, then he's just simply going to deliver the checkmate. Not that easy to get there.
Wei Yi threatening the black pawn to give a check there, but now it's Magnus who starts giving checks. The white king is hiding from the checks.
Queen h2, Magnus is trying to hide his queen, but that's not going to help him much. After rook takes f7, rook to d6, rook f7 is coming with a checkmate to follow.
I don't think that Magnus can find a way out of this. He gives a check on the back rank.
Now my king goes to hide on a2. This is the money square right here.
He keeps looking up to know the move number. That is the money square indeed, Christian. As you said, there will be no more checks once the white king gets to the highlighted square. He moves back the king to the back rank. Magnus Carlsen trying to hide away from the checkmate pattern.
Rook to g6 followed by rook to g8. There's nothing stopping that, and Magnus knows it. We're going to see resignation right now.
What has just happened? Magnus Carlsen, just when we said that he had it, he had everything under control, that it was heading toward the draw. Christian, I think we do need to bring up that moment because it happened so quickly. What did he blunder?
Absolutely, and let's just stay with this picture for a second, seeing Magnus, obviously a very frustrated and disappointed Magnus,